catastrophic explosions,
oh my goodness me,
to absolutely horrifying accidents.
oh no!
There have been some utterly terrifying pit stops over the years. So, brace yourself, because these moments only get more gut-wrenching as we go. The early 2000s Ferrari pit crew were basically a cheat code. You'd blink and Schumacher was already halfway down the pit lane with fresh tyres and a half tank of fuel. And on the topic of fuel, let me give you a very quick history lesson if you're new. This era was the Wild West in terms of pit stops. Refueling mid-race was legal, hoses pumped petrol into the cars at stupid speeds, and the pit crews, they basically lived in fear of being char-grilled. Any misalignment, any sticky latch, any tiny leak, and things would get explosive. Quite literally. Some of the fireballs you'll see in this video are crazy. And first up, it was Michael Schumacher who got a taste at the 2003 Austrian Grand Prix. Michael dives in for a standard stop. The crew take their positions, everything looking textbook, until it absolutely wasn't.
Oh no, it's on fire! No, it's on fire!
It's difficult, they can't, it's exactly the same problem!
It's on fire, Ted! The car's on fire! We haven't seen this for years!
That's one way to barbecue a 7-time world champion. The crew eventually get the blaze under control, rip the rig loose, and send him back out, losing precious seconds, but somehow keeping the whole thing from turning into a full-blown inferno. And the craziest part? Schumacher finishes P1 anyway. Only Michael could literally be on fire mid-stop and still win the Grand Prix. But if that fire made your heart jump, wait until you see what happens when a driver doesn't stop in the box at all. Running a Formula 1 team is stressful enough, but having a driver who seems allergic to keeping his car out of the barriers only makes things worse. And yes, I'm talking about the one, the only, Lance Stroll. But at the 2020 Imola Grand Prix, Stroll showed us it isn't just the barriers he's capable of crashing into. Because as he pulled in for his mid-race pit stop, his mechanics were in for a nasty surprise.
Is this Lance Stroll out of the race? Oh dear. Oh, I hope that man's okay.
Lance, those yellow markings aren't a suggestion. You just crashed into your front jack, man. And in typical Stroll fashion, he was as compassionate as a soggy piece of cardboard when he hopped on the radio immediately afterwards.
Sorry about that. Brakes are really cold.
The brakes are cold? Really? No? I'm sorry, is he okay? Is he hurt? Because the thing is, he was hurt, Lance. I mean, look at him being carried away. Moving on though, mid-90s F1 pit stops were basically a total gamble. Refueling rigs, manual lollipops, temperamental engines. There were endless possibilities for things to go pear-shaped. And when Eddie Irvine rolled in for his pit stop in Spa in '95, one of those possibilities became a reality. He hits his mark, fuel nozzle locks on, everything looks clean, until a jammed fuel valve dumps petrol across the car, lighting it up instantly. Thankfully, the Jordan crew react at warp speed and smother it within seconds. Irvine hops out in pure disbelief, eyes wide, trying to process just how close of a call that really was. As wild as that was though, we're still not done with the fuel hoses misbehaving, because the next time a team messed up a disconnect, it didn't just start a fire, it created a mobile flamethrower. By 2009, refueling rigs were supposed to be more reliable, safer disconnects, stricter procedures, better hardware. But at Interlagos, Heikki Kovalainen and McLaren somehow managed to throw all of that in a blender. Chaos erupts after the Lollipop Man gives the release signal a heartbeat too early.
Oh, we got the fuel hose on!
Oh, there was a fire in the pit lane as well!
Jeez, that would have been scary for Raikkonen. His Ferrari went straight through that fuel cloud like he was entering the gates of hell. Hilariously, both drivers continued on with the race as though that incident was just business as usual. Kovalainen did pick up a penalty, and McLaren did pick up a giant repair bill. But yeah, Kimi, he just drove away, totally unfazed, like we'd expect anything else. In saying all of that though, if you think a rogue fuel hose is terrifying, wait until you see what happens when the fuel itself decides to explode the moment it hits open air. Minardi were the ultimate underdogs in the early 2000s. Teeny tiny budgets, cars made of spare parts, held together by hope, and pit stops that always felt one heartbeat away from disaster. Enter Monza 04, the day disaster finally struck. Gianmaria Bruni rolls in for fuel. Everything looks calm. The nozzle locks on, the tires go on, the rig detaches, and it's difficult to make out, but if you squint hard enough, you can see the hose absolutely drench the car in fuel. I don't think I need to explain what happened next. Half the crew bolted, and honestly, I can't blame them, because with a fire like that, it's not just the heat you're worried about, but the toxic fumes which make it basically impossible to breathe. Thankfully, there was a fire extinguisher at hand, and the blaze was subdued in seconds, but this is just another textbook example of why the refueling era was just one massive insurance liability. The thing is though, airborne flames aren't the only thing to fear in a pit lane, because the next stop doesn't send fire into the sky, it sends a big hunk of rubber and metal flying down the pit lane like it was a bowling alley. And that hunk of rubber came at the 2010 Hungarian Grand Prix. It all started when Vitantonio Luizzi snapped part of his front wing off, meaning a safety car was deployed. Naturally, every single driver darted for the pit lane. McLaren's, Force India, Red Bull's, it was frantic. But when Rosberg pulled in for a stop, things went sideways real quick.
Oh, there's the right rear wheel making a bid for freedom there from Nico Rosberg's car, and here we're going to see
a bouncing F1 wheel doesn't look that deadly on camera, but trust me, that's a 10-kilogram projectile. Drop that on your head, and you're not getting back up quickly. So when the tyre shot past the Renault pit box, the whole crew flinched, and in that split second of distraction, they released Kubica straight into the path of Sutil's Force India. A brutal chain reaction starting with a wheel nut failure that ends up causing a two-car collision, only in Formula 1. And speaking of brutal, it would be brutal if you didn't drop a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really do my best to bring you the best F1 content I possibly can. I really appreciate it. Back to it though. It was a miracle that no one was seriously injured by the straight tyre, which is crazy considering the speed that it carried. But this incident hammered in one crucial lesson for everyone associated with the sport. An unsecured wheel is one of the most dangerous things an F1 pit crew can get wrong. But it's not the first time it's happened. Remember Nigel Mansell at the Portuguese GP in '91? Very similar incidents. Don't think Rosberg got the black flag though. But just when you think that's as chaotic as pit stops can get, the next one proves that even when the wheels stay on the car, sometimes a disastrous stop can have massive implications, not just for the race, but for the World Championship. Let me take you back to round 15 in 2008 Singapore, the first Formula 1 night race in history. The lights, the pressure, the championship on a knife's edge. Felipe Massa wasn't just fighting for a race win, he was fighting to take control of the title. At this stage of the season, it was a two-horse race, Massa versus Hamilton, 76 and 77 points respectively. 4 race weekends left, including this outing in Singapore. Everything was on the line. Every point mattered. Every stop mattered. Every second mattered. But on lap 14, when Nelson Piquet smacked into the wall and triggered the safety car, everything was about to change. And yes, this is the crash that would later be exposed as Crashgate, the one he did on purpose. But that scandal's a juicy story for another time. Back to Massa. Massa and Ferrari are under pressure, but quietly confident. They'd brought a brand new traffic light release system to replace the old lollipop. Once the pit lane had reopened, Massa stops. The fuel goes in, the tyres go on, the light goes green. Only, there was one small problem.
Felipe Massa, who has made a catastrophic mistake here in Singapore, and it could well cost him the Grand Prix.
Ferrari make the single biggest mistake of their entire season. Massa's floored it and dragged half the fuel rig with him. Down the pit lane he goes, stuck, helpless, and watching his championship hopes evaporate in real time. Mechanics sprint after the car and eventually they rip the hose free, but the damage, brutal. He rejoins dead last. A guaranteed podium becomes 0 points, and because Hamilton does score, the championship tilts, and it tilts hard. A 1-point deficit heading into the race turned into a 7-point deficit at its conclusion. This was the moment that swung momentum away from Felipe, the moment that let McLaren breathe again, and the moment Ferrari's shiny new pit release system cost their title challenger everything. Hamilton would go on to win his first World Championship in Brazil, the last race of the season by, you guessed it, a single point. Ouch. But while disastrous stops are capable of ruining title fights, sometimes they put people in real, horrifying danger. And for that, we only need to rewind the clock to 2018 in Bahrain. Ferrari were in the fight for a massive haul of points this weekend after starting the Grand Prix with a front row lockout. And Kimi Raikkonen was right in the mix for a podium finish. Lap 36, he's in 3rd place, and it's time for a second stop. Ferrari line up. The crew brace, and then everything goes terrifyingly wrong. Fair warning as well, this is pretty graphic.
in, and he will definitely. Oh no!
Oh no! Kimi Raikkonen out. out and has hit one of the mechanics.
Absolute nightmare fuel for all mechanics on the grid. Kimi launches before the left rear wheel has even been taken off, and the car slams straight into Francesco Cigarini, folding his leg instantly. Marshals rush in. Kimi gets told to shut the engine off. Francesco is stretchered away, taken straight to hospital. He undergoes surgery later that night. He's got a broken tibia and a broken fibula. Ferrari retired the car immediately. Their entire race collapses on the spot, and the fallout, well, it was brutal. The team were fined, procedures were overhauled, and even Kimi, as stone cold as he is, looked rattled. This wasn't just a botched pit stop. It was one of the most frightening mechanical failures in years, and it changed Ferrari's pit release protocol forever. But if you think this is as bad as wheel-related disasters get, guess again. A little while ago, we saw Rosberg and Mansell send some projectiles down the pit lane. In those instances, no one was seriously injured, but this time, things were different. Nürburgring 2013, one of those races where absolutely nothing feels predictable, except Mark Webber being allergic to good luck. On lap 9, the Australian dives in for his stop, and it has to be said, Red Bull are usually flawless with these. Today though, well, that's not the case.
And the wheel rolling down, and he's hit the cameraman on the back.
Full speed, no warning, just a sickening, brutal impact. Webber's told to stop the car, marshals swarm the scene, and the entire pit lane kicks into gear, rushing to help the fallen cameraman. Moments later, he's stretchered away with some serious injuries. We later find out he suffered a fractured collarbone, cracked ribs, and a serious concussion. Absolutely terrifying. Red Bull rightfully receive a fat fine, while the FIA rewrites pit lane safety protocols. It really is a shame that things like this tend to happen before the rules are changed. Like, put 2 and 2 together, FIA. Cameraman in the pit lane was never a good idea to start with. But as terrifying as a rogue wheel can be, nothing you've seen so far compares to the nuclear-level chaos of the next incident. Because the last pit stop on this list didn't just go wrong, it became one of the most infamous moments in Formula 1 history. Hockenheim, 1994. The German Grand Prix, and Verstappen was racing for Benetton. Wait, no, not that Verstappen, this Verstappen. That's right, if you somehow didn't know, Max's dad, Jos, used to race in Formula 1. Unlike his son though, Jos didn't exactly set the F1 world alight. Actually, maybe hold that thought, because on lap 15, while driving his Benetton, he boxes for tyres and fuel. The crew rush to the car, the nozzle goes on, and then, the most catastrophic pit lane failure you'll ever see.
Oh, and fuel! That's the first time we've had a fuel splash. Oh my goodness me!
We've seen some fireballs today, but that takes the cake. Mechanics dive backwards, others rush in blindly with extinguishers. Verstappen literally sits engulfed in flames, unable to move. It's absolutely horrifying no matter how many times you watch it. Jos somehow magically walked away with only minor burns to his nose and face after eventually getting out of the car. Shaken up without a doubt, but thankfully in one piece. The same can't be said for his pit crew though, with several mechanics suffering severe burns as a result of the accident. But what made this one even more infamous were the allegations that followed, because many onlookers believe that something didn't smell right. Rumors spread that Benetton's refueling rig had been modified to increase flow rate. Official investigations later found irregularities in the equipment, nothing proven malicious, but enough to leave a permanent asterisk over both the incident and the team. This wasn't just a dangerous pit stop, it was the pit stop that changed how F1 looked at refueling forever, and a reminder of how thin the line between performance and disaster really is. And speaking of disaster, check out this video about the Halo, because its backstory is truly horrifying.